All right, so today there was essentially an attack on the Qubic network, right? Through their custom mining um, doohickey. Here's a post from the founder, Come From Beyond. All right, let's read it together. Qubic's custom mining dispatcher rerouting XMR shares is under heavy spam now. What does this mean? It means that Mark Twain was right when he said, "Never put off till tomorrow what may be done day after tomorrow just as well." It sounded weird grammatically. I was too lazy to add filtering of XMR shares, and now that is being exploited by somebody trying to prevent Qubic from dominating Monero. Now we see that somebody is scared, and also we are getting a free stress test of the Qubic network. So, so if you're familiar with Qubic and you kind of know your way around the ecosystem, this kind of news doesn't really worry you much, and you kind of understand it. Um, but for someone like a lay person who doesn't really know much about the project or mining or things like that, or someone who's just getting into Qubic and this seems to worry them, this might seem weird. So what I decided to do was I kind of want to explain it. So I asked Grok kind of to break it down because I don't really have the words to describe it. So let's learn together, right? So let's figure out how this works, all right? So what I asked was based on this X post, what is the mechanism for spamming invalid shares? How does that work, right? And I put the link to CFB's post. I'll also put the link to this chat in the description so you can read the whole thing yourself. It's actually pretty good. I asked it a follow-up question too, and it's Grok is pretty dope. So yeah, let's get into the mechanism of spamming invalid shares. The post suggests that someone is exploiting Qubic's custom mining dispatcher by spamming it with invalid XMR shares. All right, understanding the dispatcher. All right, Qubic appears to have a custom mining dispatcher that reroutes or processes XMR shares, possibly as part of a strategy to mine Monero using Qubic's infrastructure or to integrate Qubic's mining capabilities with Monero's network. This dispatcher is likely a software component that aggregates, validates, and forwards shares to a Monero mining pool or the Monero network. The post mentions that the dispatcher lacks filtering for XMR shares, meaning it may accept and process shares without rigorous validation, making it vulnerable to exploitation. Oh, I'm lagging. Generating invalid shares. An attacker can intentionally generate invalid shares by submitting data that mimics legitimate share submission but fails to meet cryptographic or timing requirements. This could involve tampered nonsense, incorrect timestamps, malformed data. These invalid shares can be generated with minimal computational power, as the attacker doesn't need to solve the full puzzle, just craft the data that appears plausible but is ultimately invalid. Alright, flooding the dispatcher. The attacker floods Qubic's mining dispatcher with a high volume of these invalid shares. Since the dispatcher lacks proper filtering, it may attempt to process each share, consuming computational resources, network bandwidth, and potentially delaying the handling of legitimate shares. This spam attack doesn't directly affect the Monero blockchain, since invalid shares are rejected by the Monero network or pool, but it targets Qubic's infrastructure, aiming to disrupt its mining operations or slow its growth. Alright, exploitation of unfiltered shares. The post notes that the lack of filtering was due to laziness in implementation. I was too lazy to add filtering of XMR shares. Without filters, the dispatcher might not distinguish between valid or invalid shares, allowing spam to overwhelm the system. This could also indicate that the dispatcher accepts shares from external sources, for example, other miners or nodes, without authentication or rate limiting, amplifying the vulnerability. Alright, that's pretty bad on the founder's part, like being too late. Like that could have been bad, but thankfully the network literally ate up that attack like it was nothing. Let me see. Where is what's going on here? Look at this. Look at this crazy spike. And it ate it up like nothing. It says 82 gigahashes per second. That's insane. And look, it just keeps finding more blocks. Right, and it's still got that high hash rate. Look, right now it's clocking 653. It's like nothing happened. They tried their best to break the network, but it didn't even scratch it. It didn't even scratch the surface. Alright, let's keep getting into it. How this works in practice. The attack setup. The attacker could use a botnet or script to send a continuous stream of invalid share submissions to Qubic's dispatcher. Tools like modified mining software or custom scripts could automate this process. The impact on Qubic: the dispatcher becomes bogged down, reducing its ability to process legitimate shares from Qubic miners. That obviously wasn't an issue. This could lower Qubic's effective hash rate, but no. That's what Grok is kind of being goofy. Network stress test. As the post suggests, this spam acts as a free stress test for the Qubic network, exposing weaknesses in its infrastructure and prompting the need for better filtering or rate limiting mechanisms. Motivation and implications. Oh yeah, by the way, don't feel bad if you're tapping out. It's getting pretty wordy, but you can read this on your own if you want. Competitive threat. The post implies that this spam is an attempt to prevent Qubic from dominating Monero mining, possibly because Qubic's growing hash rate threatens existing Monero pools or miners. This aligns with trending posts suggesting Qubic is nearing 51% dominance of Monero's network hash rate. Economic incentive. By disrupting Qubic, the attacker might aim to protect their own mining rewards or the stability of other Monero pools, as a 51% attack or a significant hash rate shift could destabilize Monero's network. Alright, there's more here. Yeah, you can follow up on the rest of this information on your own time. I don't want to make this video super long, so yeah, that's the update on the recent attack on Qubic's system, which it ate up. It just ate it up. Yeah. Here's a little bit of CFB, and we'll talk about CFB some other time. All right, peace.